Movie friends, welcome back to the channel. Doing a movie review for Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Full-length movie reaction will be up on Patreon, so if you guys want to become a member of Patreon, movie reactions that are full-length are up there, non-edited, so you'll be able to pretty much watch the entire movie along with me. But we're going to go ahead and dive into the review of 1978, and this is pretty heavy spoiler stuff, so be ready for that. I gotta say, and I've had a day now to kind of reminisce and think about the movie quite a bit, because at first I really enjoyed it, and I was kind of going back and forth between which one I like more, 1994 or 1978, and I gotta say, I probably really enjoyed 1978, probably a smidgen more. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Part 1, but Part 2, I feel like, just not only is the setting, which I love camp settings. I mean, if you know me personally, if you've been on the channel for a long time, you know Friday the 13th is like my go-to slasher franchise. My favorite horror film of all time is Halloween, the first John Carpenter film, but Friday the 13th is overall my favorite franchise of all time, and I love the camp setting. So going into this, I mean, I was very, my expectations were a little bit higher than I want to admit. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't normally go into movies with high expectations. I go into it with a blank slate, and I'm kind of just ready to watch a movie and see how it comes out. But I love the setting so much, so I kind of went into this really with a decently high expectation, and I gotta say, it actually checkmarked everything I wanted it to. It doesn't hold nothing back. There are kids who are brutally murdered. I mean, I'm not. They're brutally murdered in this, and they don't hold nothing back really. I mean, sometimes they'll cut away, so you don't really get to see what happens. But the aftermath tells it all. Really brutal stuff. I felt bad for the nerdy kid, Jeremy. When he gets brutally axed, I was like, oh, poor fucking kid, and it says so much, and it answers a lot of questions I had with the first one. These characters, or these slashers, are really after, what is the name of the town? Shadyside, I think is what it's called. They're really after the Shadyside kids, and it really proved a point in this movie, and there's so much here. I was actually beginning to guess and answer things correctly, which really helped, if I'm right at some things, and I'm not right all the time, but when I guess right, it makes me feel good. So I got a lot of things right on this. The camp setting, give this director a Friday the 13th script, I would say. Give her a fucking Friday the 13th script. I think she even handles some of the camp settings. Well, she definitely handles it better, than most Friday the 13th movies do. One of the reasons why Friday the 13th Part 4 is my favorite is because it handles that camp feeling very well. And, Part 3 does in some retrospects. Part 2 does in a couple of retrospects. I mean, this is, in Part 6, of course, Friday the 13th Part 6 handles it very well. This really does make it feel like a really cool camp slasher film, and it's one of the better ones I've seen, actually, and especially in more recent years, But the characters are very likable. I like Ziggy. I like Cindy, I think's her name, Cindy. And Alice, really liked Alice. Alice, didn't, and I like Tommy too. Tommy was a cool character. Most of these characters, sometimes they're obnoxious at first, but they kind of grow on you and they become more likable, And that for this one specifically, most of the characters that were obnoxious, some not too much, but some of the characters that were very obnoxious in the beginning kind of come off better at the end, and you kind of understand the reasons, and that's great directing and great writing right there. So it worked on that level for me. There was just moments with Ziggy that, in the beginning, she was kind of very obnoxious, always being a bitch to everybody, especially her sister. She didn't deserve to get bullied on the level she did. Obviously, that shit's psychotic, I love that fact that the bully was calling her like a psycho and stuff, possessed by the witch, but yeah, she was fucking burning people with lighters by hanging them on trees. I mean, that's pretty psycho, and there's just so much here that I think you could have a lot of fun with, so many corrupt characters too, a couple of people who are in charge of the camp are kind of corrupted and, choose favorites and all that shit, and put people down and all that stuff, and it's just one of those, it definitely, it makes you feel like you're at, it's very, I'm trying to figure out a word to use, but I think if you overall liked the first one, I think you might love the second one. I actually think that the second one is probably a better movie overall than the first one. Handled well. The feel, it takes you back to the 80s when slashers were just crazy. This is going to surprise a lot of people, I think. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. I really do. I think it's a good time. The Axe Murderer was kick-ass. I mean, it's just a good fucking time, especially if you're a fan of Friday the 13th like me, and they do have a lot of those moments where you're like, oh, that's very reminiscent of Friday the 13th, and you're going to be like, oh, fuck yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So I would probably give Fear Street Part 2 an 8.2 out of 10. I like it a lot. I think it's a very good time, and I can't wait for Part 3, 1666, which is, I watched the trailer for that at the end of this. Comment down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. What you guys think of it? Did you guys like it? Like, subscribe, share the content, hit the bell notification if you don't want to miss another video. We have a Patreon and membership program. If you guys want to be more of a support to the channel, you don't have to. It's all, if you want to. Your names will be at the end credits of each video if you do. So, I mean, that's kind of neat, right? But until next time, guys, please take care, movie friends. Have a great day, and I will check you out in the next reaction or video.